Welcome everyone. This is 5 Questions. I'm Todd Capps on behalf of the Common Table Foundation. And our guest today is the beautiful and talented Morgan Maassen. Morgan, nice to see you.
Likewise, Todd. Thanks for having me.
We're going to jump right in, as we do. Morgan Maassen, what do you stand for?
I stand for, I think, the pursuit of creativity and community and just people exploring the process of making things and growing and learning through that, through the micro and macro machinations of whether it's painting or making t-shirts or getting together and learning or changing the way we interact with each other as a society or a town or a city or a country. I love to watch people grow and explore and learn. And I think that all comes from creativity and imagination. And those are the things that really inspire me. So I personally spend a lot of time absorbing and learning the arts and politics and music and religion and stuff, but processing it and sharing those ideas and finding releases for them is how I spend all my free time. It's how I spend, it's how I work, it's how I play, it's how I interact with people, and I love it. I think it's the most fascinating aspect of being a human is learning things, processing them, growing, and then sharing them.
Well, the old saying that if you can't tell the difference between your work and your play, then you know you're onto.
Exactly.
Yeah. Question number 2. Tell us a brief story of a turning point in your life and why was it significant?
I think the biggest turning point in my life was probably dropping out of high school. I was 15 and I had missed 9th grade because my family, we had lived in New Zealand, and I ended up not going to school there. I was a bit mismatched with the education system. So I came back into 10th grade and I went to Santa Barbara High School, and I had to do 9th grade, homeschool 9th grade while I was taking in 10th grade, taking AP and GATE classes, while doing the PSATs, while catching up on missed electives. Like I was doing 0 period water polo and going to City College for my language class because the school didn't have room for me in their own classes. And so my school day started at 6 and basically finished at about 3:30. I go home and was cramming for PSATs and AP homework. And so I researched how I could get out of school, and there's a test called the California High School State Proficiency Exam, and you pay $100. You have to be 16 years old or in 11th grade. And so I researched it, studied for it, and I turned 16 in August 2006, and I got out, and my parents were livid. They were really upset that I kind of had decimated my college track and I was deviating so far from my peers. But I made a plan, and I coerced them into supporting me in the way that I took on a full-time job. I was still studying for my AA at 16 through City College and Stanford Online. And I actually was more busy than ever, but I had completely redesigned every single second, day, week, month, and year of my life moving forward to where I was calling the shots. And I was able to, I was doing graphic and web design full-time for SHAWN STUSSY. I was studying anthropology and taking the last of my prerequisites for UC school requirements at City College and online. And I basically wrote my schedule from Monday morning until Sunday night. It was incredible. And it was, honestly, it felt like the first day of my life. Like I was able to actually be myself, and every single aspect of what I wanted to do, I was in charge of. And it was incredibly invigorating, and I grew every day more than I had in any year prior.
My sense of you, going out on a limb here, is that you've lived that way pretty much ever since.
Yes, 100%. I mean, that I think that moment was probably the greatest moment of uncertainty, and I think personal hardship. And like my parents were, like I said, really, really upset about it all because it was so unorthodox. But in reality, I did it to the best of a 16-year-old's ability without being blind. I had researched as much as I could. and it worked out. And I think, I mean, obviously pairing that with not drinking, not doing drugs, not partying, and then also like having a full-time job and earning money and supporting myself was paramount, which takes a lot when you're that age. But I mean, I had fleshed out the entire plan, and I feel like I executed it as perfectly as possible.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an amazing story that is still in progress, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
But, okay, question number 3. What problem must be solved?
I mean, there's a lot of problems that face us right now, and I think like I think the main problem that I'm really starting to grapple with is the way that we learn and process information, and that is super systemic of social media, and watching how people are dissolving their interest in books and mainstream media, news, and you know, even like television, and watching people put all their time and energy into social media. And I'm seeing people conflate that time and energy that they put into Instagram and Twitter as validating it as legitimate news. And the spectrum that truth and validity has shifted on in the last couple of years is insane. And I mean, it's in the scope of things, with all the issues we face, from you know, ecological and environmental collapse to you know, peak capitalism to corruption in politics, whatever. It sounds so trivial for me to sit here and say I think social media and the way we learn and invest ourselves in news is a major issue, but in reality, this is the starting point of how we learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see, I mean, some sort of um, control over, you know, the fake news and spread of disinformation and the formation of echo chambers and the potency of algorithms on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, because it really is crippling the way that we learn about things that should be most important, especially as schools are continuously shut down into this fall, winter, spring too.
Right.
So that's where I stand. That's what I've been researching a lot and worrying a lot about. And I think that's where we probably face, in the technological age of the 21st century, we have the most room to grow.
In addition to researching and worrying, what else do you see yourself doing as contributing to I guess solution's not the right word, but to a healing or a resolve in some way of that problem as you explain it?
I mean, like if you look at the potency and power of Google, Facebook, and Apple and Twitter compared to like a layman like me, I really offer nothing. But at the same time, whether I have 500 followers and their close family and friends on social media, or I currently have more than 250,000 across multiple platforms,
Mm-hmm.
I try to do multiple things, and those things are: one, any news or politics or any sort of activity I put my weight, my voice behind. I make sure that I have researched and vetted it, and it truly is not misinformation, or it's not knee-jerk reaction, and I'm not doing anything to solidify echo chambers, and I'm not you know, floating random information to be thought-provoking. I'm sharing strictly facts and information that, like, I mean, you know, would be vettable to the level of like New York Times or Washington Post or the Guardian or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think right now we're in the baby steps phase of watching this all unfold, but I'm trying to be very conscious of it. And I'm also, I mean, I've made a very conscious effort of streamlining where I get my information from. I like to read the New York Times, the Guardian, the Economist, and then I just try to share those things. And I try to create conversations with my friends and my family, and I try to approach them with resources and I guess you know facts and concepts that will help them understand and head in a direction that I think is better for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I've just talked about is very polarizing, because you have people on the other end of the spectrum saying, you know, such and such things. But I think also, to answer your question, a very important concept is to approach everything with an open mind and optimism. And those two things can combat the I think the two biggest issues we also face in the internet and the exchange of information in the cybernetic world, which is cynicism and having a closed mind,
Hmm.
and wanting to make the world a better place and help people become more optimistic and better around you. I
Hmm.
think are the best and healthiest ways to truly counteract this and to push forward as well.
Amen to that. Question number 4. Tell us about a key mentor in your life and how was this person important?
A key mentor in life would definitely be SHAWN STUSSY. He has been a family friend since my younger brother met his oldest son in elementary school, and our families clicked. And throughout my childhood, he would always show me his designs and his T-shirts and his surfboards. And after I left high school, he actually hired me to do graphic and web design with him, and that was both an immense honor, but um, what was paramount to, I guess, my change and this mentorship that he offered me was that he showed me that his style transcended any facet of his life that he did. I mean, he designs clothes, shoes, surfboards, hats, websites, everything. Anything that is in his life, he designs. And he taught me about the principles of design and how they're so much broader and magnificent than just, where you put text on a piece of paper
Right.
or how you choose colors or fonts and stuff. And that those philosophies that come with that and the I think it's a downright intelligence. It's a level and spectrum of intelligence that is the opposite end of the mathematical spectrum.
Mhm.
Learning about that and witnessing it, and then having him bestow upon me a lot of his knowledge and fundamentals was, I mean, I see him in those things
Mhm.
in my photography, in my filmmaking, in my house, and my clothing, and you realize it's like I said, it's not just one thing. It's you. It's
Mhm.
you are your design principles, and they are in everything, right down to the breakfast you make. It's
Authenticity.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. And still one of the great logos of all time.
yeah, 100%.
Okay. But- okay. Fifth and final question. Morgan Maassen, what gives you hope?
I am given a lot of hope by, I think, actually, counterintuitively to the answer to the third question is the internet. I think it's really a beautiful thing to be interconnected with people across the world, and I think we're in the beginning stages of really shrinking the size of this world and really connecting. And I've made some of my best friends through the internet, and I've been able to build my life and my success through the internet. And I have been able to glean endless inspiration and knowledge through the internet. And every day I'm learning about new nonprofits and new initiatives and new sciences and technologies through it. And I'm doing a lot of reading and a lot of learning through it. I'm watching a lot of other people doing it too. And the fact that I can FaceTime with people, on a research vessel in the middle of the Atlantic after this phone call and learn about what they're doing for plastic pollution, and they can share their knowledge and their information. I mean, this is something that is magnificent and kind of unprecedented. And I see it like we now have this beautiful, incredibly powerful band-aid to a lot of the issues we face, and we're just starting to realize what we can do with it. So I am fascinated by it, and I really have a lot of hope and faith and optimism surrounding it as well, which I think majorly mitigates my fears and phobias of it.
I think that's fantastic. I can't remember the journalist who talked about technology, something 10 years ago, maybe, and referred to the internet as long as we maintain this sense of awe about the potential that it has, then it's going to be used for good. But if,
Exactly.
when it becomes just whatever, that's when things go awry. But I love your enthusiasm about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I mean, you watch a lot, like, for example, what China does with the internet is they're trying to, I mean, they have the Great Firewall, and they have sucked a lot of awe out of the internet.
Mhm.
But you watch the way people have stepped forward to combat things like that, and you realize the internet is the greatest sponge of, it is Merlin's sword of creativity. And that's where it's kind of fascinating, because previously, like, that would be, in 400 years ago, that would be Da Vinci with a canvas, or Michelangelo with the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel.
Yep.
Now it is your computer and the World Wide Web, and that's what's sucking the most amount of intelligence and creativity out of people unanimously. And also too, it's interconnecting 7 billion people, you know? So it's like, it's not like finding a needle in the haystack, it's connecting everyone and seeing how they can have their go at being creative or intelligent.
Well, very well said. And I sure appreciate it. I feel like we could continue chatting, but that's it. We've done all 5 questions. And I want to thank you, Morgan Maassen, for being our guest today. And thank you all for joining us on 5 questions on behalf of the Common Table Foundation. And we'll see you again on the next one.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me, Todd.
Thanks, Morgan.
Take care.